Hello and welcome everybody to the 7th episode of MoDXtra. We are a bi-weekly vodcast made by two massive dad nerdy types who just like to get together once every couple of weeks to talk about what nerdy stuff we've been doing and share with you. I'm Chris, otherwise known online as True Mr. Six, and that guy over there is called Andy.
AKA, who the fuck is Tim Drake?
Spoiler alert. Spoiler. Topical. On theme. I like it.
Thank you very much.
How was that intro? I actually put some thought into that one. It didn't quite come out as smoothly, I don't think. But
I still need some work, I think.
all right, okay. All right. I'll continue. What are we, 7 episodes in, and I've still not pinned that down.
Get in there, though. Get in there.
I think I started quite high, but then bumbled a little bit later.
In
the new territory, I lost it.
Dad dish went a little bit wrong.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I see that or hear that. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, here we are. As I just said, we are two massive nerds, and we like to get together every couple of weeks to talk about what nerdy things we've had going on, whether it be movies, TV shows, comic books, computer games, video games, card games, board games, whatever else.
Jazz.
All that jazz, yeah, absolutely. So we tend to do a couple of segments throughout an episode, and the first segment, this little introductory one, we like to just kind of get into some general chat. So I'll ask you, my good man, what have you been up to in the last 2 weeks since we last recorded?
Oh, well, it's been a lovely crimbo break. So I haven't been working. Been spending lots of time with the family, which is nice. So less movies than usual. We did I watched Die Hard again with my wife. And
twice
in the Christmas period, and also introduced it to my son, who enjoyed it very much. So that was fun. I think we did a Harry Potter somewhere in there as well. But yeah, the first time got him to watch it. He's starting to sit down and want to watch movies now, which is nice because he's getting that bit older. So that's cool.
I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, but certainly sitting someone down to watch the very first film version of it is no way to create a Harry Potter fan at all, is it? It's really shonky.
He can't act in the first one, bless him.
No. I mean, Rupert Grint, I don't think gets at all better throughout the whole, how many is it, 8 films or whatever.
Oh, I quite like him.
Do you?
Yeah, it's the Harry's. I'm a wizard. Yes, you are, mate. Good. Well done.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, you're surrounded by some of the best British actors of all time.
Yeah.
And you're like a 10-year-old kid who can like do a surprised face.
I have a lot of respect for Daniel Radcliffe now, though. He takes a lot of risks in the roles he picks and stuff. Have you seen that one where he turns into like a demon?
Ooh, it was a Netflix special, wasn't it?
It might have been. I think it was called, I want to say Horns or Hooves or something like that. Yeah.
I thought
it was pretty good.
There's one where he gets a really good one actually. I watched a while back. That is a Netflix special. I think this is the one I was thinking of. It's a true story. It's about a guy that gets lost in the Amazon.
I heard about this.
And he survives some ridiculous 3-4 weeks in the Amazon trying to get out again, and his mate never gives up and gets someone to come back in, and it's absolutely fucking mental. And then they find him, and he's literally just like this husk of a man, but he lives. That's quite good. Well, actually, I say that's quite good. That's about an hour and a half of really boring film, and then a good like half an hour at the end, which is really interesting. And done an hour and a half. I need to know what happens at some point.
I'm invested.
He's going to get lost. Is he going to get lost? Right now, he's lost, and then it ends. But well filmed.
Anyway, sorry, I took you off track there, didn't I?
You didn't we? We started talking about Daniel Radcliffe. This is the Daniel Radcliffe special. So I've done quite a bit of reading. I mentioned last time, I think, that I got the Aliens Essential comic omnibus. I've read through all of that. That is really good. The 3 stories in that Essentials comic omnibus is the same as the novel Omnibus Volume 1 that I read through as well. So it's quite nice.
You thought that was going to be the case, didn't you?
Yeah,
you did mention.
They're different names. So I was wondering if they were going to be different. But no, it's exactly the same. It's basically, from what I can gather, is after Aliens, the success of Aliens, there was quite a big gap. And someone sat down and wrote a trilogy of novels in regard to what happens next, which are really good, enough that Dark Horse took them on and made comic book versions. I think that's the way, unless they did the comic book versions first and then he wrote the story. But I think it's that way around.
Right.
And then they ignored that completely for the next film in the series, which is a shame because it's a better story, to be fair. So I would definitely read it. So that was cool. Really good read. I've gone on to Aliens Omnibus Volume 2 for the book. The next one is Genocide. That's quite good. That's a good few years on from the end of the third book in that Omnibus 1. And it's kind of the next stages of basically taking back Earth. And it goes on from there. So yes, it's cool. Demolished that. It must have been good because I nailed that in a few days. And now I'm on to the next one, which is called
Omnibus 3?
No, the second book in the Omnibus. I think it's called Alien Harvest. So making my way through that. I'll let you know what I think of that as I get through it. What else have I done? I binged on The Mandalorian.
Oh, finally.
Took me time with it. Enjoyed it. A nice bath, bubble bath, candles, dim the lights, iPad on, and made my way through those 8 epic hour adventures. Very much enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I have.
Do we want to go there?
Do we want to wait? Do we want to just do like a 5-hour special about us arguing over that?
Yeah. I mean, we certainly probably could fill a fair bit of audio.
I was a big fan. I really enjoyed it. And I've started on Cobra Kai. Now, my wife has said that she wants to watch them with me, which has slowed me down somewhat. So I'm only 3 episodes in at the moment. However, from all accounts, it seems just as good as the first 2 seasons. So that's cool. And I got Ghostbusters for the PS4, which is an older game. It's been remastered. So I think it might even be like a PS3 or something. I'm not sure. But it's been remastered. And I've played a little bit of that. And that is very cool.
What's that like, stomping around catching ghosts?
Yeah, it's good. It's got the voices of all 4 of the actors. So it's got the 4 original Ghostbusters in it. It's got their likenesses, and the starting is there's a Gozer exhibit at the New York Museum, and something happens, and then ghosts start appearing, and the first little bit that I've done, you return to the hotel that they find Slimer in Ghostbusters 1, and it's all done out exactly the same. It's brilliant, and you can stomp around it and catch ghosts and stuff. So I'm enjoying that so far. We'll see how that pans out.
Very good.
Just a 1-player story thing. I don't think you can multiplayer it, but that's cool. And that is pretty much me.
Seems like a fair bit to me.
Yeah, lots of reading, lots of chilling out, and lots of eating.
Yeah, 'tis the season for chocolate and cheese.
Indeed it is. Nom, nom, nom. How about you?
How about me? I was just going to say, you don't necessarily have to have the chocolate and cheese at the same time. You can eat them separately or together at Christmas. Nobody cares. It's allowed.
It's allowed.
Yeah. What about me? Let me have a think. So I finished The Mandalorian. I think the last one was on, between the 2. Or did it finish before the last one? But my new kind of weekly show is I'm still watching The Expanse that I mentioned on our last episode. That's on Amazon Prime. We're sort of 5 or 6 episodes in now. Really good season. Been enjoying it a great deal. Again, though, to revisit a theme that comes up quite often and will forever be a theme of ours, this whole waiting a week, it pains me.
Not good.
No, the episode finishes and I'm just so hungry for more. And they've done a bit of the thing that happened with Game of Thrones where all the characters are they are kind of spread out and they've each got different storylines that are going on right now. So the crew of the Rocinante, which is the sort of central characters, the main, the ship and the crew at the center of the story, have all ended up going off on these various little adventures for a variety of reasons. And so each episode, they're like, right, we'll do 10 minutes on this guy's story, then 10 minutes on that guy's story, then 10 minutes on her story, then 10 minutes on this pair's story. So your 45-minute episode, you only get 10 minutes of each bit moving forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But they're all connected by a larger, bigger story that's happening, that's kind of going on.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was say I tried the first episode of The Expanse,
Oh,
And
yeah.
is it like a slow starter? Because I maybe I wasn't in the right mood or whatever, but I couldn't quite get into it. I didn't get through the whole episode.
I honestly don't remember. It's that long ago since I watched the first episode. I mean, obviously, I'm going to say stick with it. I have. But I don't remember if the first episode was a bit of a slow starter.
Oh, it might have just been with the kids and wife running around over Christmas. I will give it another go and give you
maybe, or
next episode.
maybe it's just not your cup of tea. That's also fine. So yeah, I've got that going on, but it's paining me. It's really paining me. I found that, like I say, with Game of Thrones, that it got to the point where everyone was so spread out that each episode only gave you a little bit of each storyline moving forward, each individual, thread. And I started to find that real painful. The Expanse, somewhat like Game of Thrones as well, though, has a big, there's a big episode coming. They're building towards something, which is what keeps your momentum up and keeps you interested. But it's hurting me, man. I'm just, we've talked about it before. We understand why the streaming services do this, but I don't like it at all.
No, it's like going back to the 80s.
Yeah, I'm a box set binge guy. Just give it me all. I'll consume it, and then some. So there's that. Also, you in passing mentioned Brooklyn Nine-Nine to me. I can't remember why.
Die Hard.
Oh yeah, because Peralta's a big Die Hard fan. Yeah. That's right. And I thought, oh yeah, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So I went and had a look on Netflix because I thought, I think there's a season I've not seen, and there was a season I've not seen, season 6, and I think season 7's on right now. So I smashed my way through. Well, I went back a little bit because it'd been a while. I thought, I'll just rewatch a few. They're only little 20-minute giggles, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then made my way up to the bit where I was up to at the end of season 5 and then jumped on to season 6. And it's a really good show, isn't it?
It's fantastic. It's one of my faves.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I seem to think I lost my way with it a bit or missed a season because it was on Channel 4 and they kept fucking about with when it was on.
Right.
I've got a feeling, I have a vague kind of thing in the back of my head about losing my way because it used to be on a Thursday night and then they moved it to a Friday or something, and I don't know. Anyway. So there is that. Very pleased to announce that our Twitch channel hit the affiliate marker since we last recorded.
Affiliate. Amazing.
In no small part due to an epic stream we did on Saturday.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Incomparable, I think. I know there's some Twitch superstars out there, but they're not doing anything comparable to what we did. We did a playthrough of Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone's fighting fantasy novel, the first of the series, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain.
And if you've not seen it, I recommend that you do because it was amazing fun. It's only 3 hours. You can sit through that. It's not long. Yeah,
it's in the Twitch archive right now, but I'll get my arse in gear and get it up on the YouTube page. I'm still debating in my mind. We were talking about me carving it up into sections, but I don't know if I'll be able to find the time to sit down and carve a 3 hour up. I might just dump all 3 hours on YouTube. But it was great fun. I really enjoyed it. So the way we set it up is my man Andy here played the character through, and I did the narration and rolled on behalf of the creatures that he encountered throughout. So yeah, something a little bit different. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, didn't do too badly either.
No. Actually, we enjoyed it that much that I've been on eBay since then and tracked down a copy of the second book because for whatever reason, I've only got the volumes I have from my old collection are spread out. I mustn't have collected it in order.
Right.
When I was a kid.
Yeah, just not that matters. Seen one that you like the look of. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I picked up the second one so that we can revisit that because I thought it was a good time. We had a few people hang out in chat. So keep your eyes and ears open for twitch.tv/MoDXtra without the E if you want to come and hang out. I think we're going to put maybe do one a month on a weekend thing on a Saturday we were talking about.
I think so. I've really enjoyed it. I'm keen to do more. It's great fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that was cool. And then also on the gaming front, my Xbox Gold renewal came up because I got my Xbox a couple of Christmases ago.
Right, yeah.
So that, which clearly planned that very badly because I just got through Christmas and then had a bill for me Game Pass. But I was looking at the Xbox Live Game Pass. Our friend Javier mentioned to me, you got to look at the Game Pass. It's such good value. So I went and had a closer look at it. And the Game Pass now includes the Gold membership.
Oh, okay.
So I would normally drop 50 quid a year in January on my 1 year's worth of Xbox Live Gold,
Yeah.
I've just signed up for the Game Pass, which is going to cost me like another 40 quid over the year.
Mm.
But I think I'll get 40 quid's worth of games out of it.
Oh, there you
So
go.
So I've signed up for that, and so that means last few nights I've just been dipping. I've played Crackdown, a bit of Crackdown 3. I played a bit of Battlefield. What's it called? Hardline, which is like the urban city cop version of the Battlefield. I've got my eye on the Star Wars Jedi First Order, which is a pretty new game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's got all 5 of the Gears of Wars on it.
Can't get them on PlayStation.
No. I haven't. I only played up till 3 in the run of playing the Gears of War, so I haven't played any of 4 or 5, although I went back into 1 and just did a little bit of multiplayer for nostalgia, and then a sort of RPG game called Battle Chasers that I can't get my head around it. I haven't played many of these sort of Japanese style RPGs, and I'm a bit confused about what's going on. Like leveling up your characters and stuff seems to bend my head, but I'll get there. So loads of value in that. And there's a January sale deal on where you pay just £1 for the first 3 months.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, so I've had that going on. So that's me computer gamey stuff. And then finally, talking about comic book consumption. So something I'm really excited about. There was an announcement recently that Amazon Prime are doing an animated recreation of a great series called Invincible from Image Comics, written by Robert Kirkman, which you might know as the guy who did Walking Dead.
Yes.
Many would argue, including myself, that actually Invincible is his better work than Walking Dead. But for whatever reason, Walking Dead was the one that got adapted. But Amazon Prime have announced they're doing an animated version. And not like a kiddie version either, like a full-on, just straight-up adaptation of the comic book. So that was really exciting. And I saw the cast, and the cast for that, the voice cast, just incredibly good. So I'd recommend you folks have a Google if you're interested. But then that kind of made me go, I've got a couple of volumes of Invincible upstairs. So I went and got a couple of the trade paperbacks out and started rereading it. Got up to the end point of what I owned and then had to carry on. So I splashed some cash and bought the rest of the volumes. Just nailed my way through them. So I've been reading Invincible, which is a book I would highly recommend. And Andy, you may be taking a look at sometime soon.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, it's really good. It tells the story of a family, and the son is the son of a Superman type superhero. And he, at the beginning of the story, this isn't very spoilerful because it happens early doors, he starts to develop the same powers as his father through genetics. And then a secret about his father becomes revealed and then informs this whole kind of epic thing, which is just a really great read.
Awesome.
And that, sir, is my summary of the last 2 weeks.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Yeah. So are we going to do like a Star Wars special sometime? Because I think there's a lot to talk about there.
Oh, the Mandalorian.
Well, not just the Mandalorian. I mean, we could make it just about the Mandalorian. If we did that, though, we'd have to do it sooner rather than later, wouldn't we? While the iron's hot and all that.
Yeah, or just like all things Star Wars.
Yeah, like a broad Star Wars thing. Let us know in the comments below if that's something you'd be interested in hearing us do. Maybe take a detour, one episode, and just all about Star Wars.
Yeah, well, you got Star Wars. You got the 6 movies. You've got the 2 other movies. You've got the...
There's only 3 films.
Whatevs.
And therein lies the whole episode's worth of discussion.
There's the TV series. Well, I think you'll find that there's 4 if you're looking at your previous description.
Because you're including Solo in that.
Indeed.
Yeah, which is fair.
The TV series, you've got comic books, you've got novels, you've got computer games, you've got toys. So there is a wide variety of stuff that we could talk about, folks. Let us know if you want us to divert onto a Star Wars special, and we will make that happen.
Yeah, or alternatively, just make a note and give us a heads up, say, no, don't give us the Star Wars special, but let's still hear about your thoughts on Mandalorian or something. Just either way, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, very good. Okay, well, there's our little rundown. Shall we tell the listeners what we got coming up in this episode?
Let's do it.
Okay, where are we starting this week? Which one did we start with last week? I've forgotten.
I think we did comic books first last week, didn't we?
Right, so it's Andy's Retro Corner first, and in Andy's Retro Corner, the movie rewatch we have done, at least I'm assuming you've done, I did,
I've done.
is Aliens versus Predator, or otherwise labelled as AVP.
Woohoo.
Dropped a whole $3.99 on that bad boy. Just saying.
Let's find out if it was worth that $3.99.
And then it's on to Chris's comic book corner and our reread for me, but first reading for Andy. It was the Robin, A Hero Reborn collected story, which is it's got two storylines in it: Alan Grant and Chuck Dixon. I think I said last episode it's Chuck Dixon, but there's been a new edition with an extra bit in it, which explains that. But that's really boring, so I'm not going to dwell on that.
Okay.
And then, as I understand it, our rando segment at the back end, you have prepared for me a quiz.
Yep. Listeners of the Ministry of Dice podcast will know that I am the grand quiz master. People want to be my quiz masters-tastic, but they're not. I am the quiz master.
All right. I will... So he's saying that because I had to go at a couple of quizzes around Christmas time for our other podcast, The Ministry of Dice, which, largely speaking, I think most people who listen to this are Ministry of Dice listeners anyway. But I'm getting like a backhanded insult. There is what's going on.
Well, less of the backhanded, more of the insult. But yes, I have put together a quiz, pub quiz, night quiz, for you to play along at home along with Chris. Keep tuned for that one.
Very good. And with all that done, that should take us to the end of the episode. So shall we crack on, my man?
Let's get it cracking.
Let's do it. Right, on to Andy's Retro Corner then. Yes, welcome back then, dear listener. And so it's Andy's Retro Corner time, and I'll hand you over to the man himself to take us through it.
Thank you very much. So last week, we picked out the movie to talk about this week, and it is AVP, Alien versus Predator. I hope you have watched it at home over the last couple of weeks over Christmas. A lovely Christmas movie to sit down and watch with the family. For you who may have not heard of it or may have not listened, let me give you the back of the box, or in this case, the description of a Sky Movies. And it's bollocks, this. It's the sci-fi smackdown of the century as the most formidable hunters in the universe take on the galaxy's nastiest xenomorphs in a ferocious battle for supremacy. And we're caught in the middle. After discovering a mysterious pyramid in the Antarctic, a dying billionaire, spoiler, thanks very much, Lance Henriksen, and his crack team, no they're not, realise rather belatedly that it's an ancient training ground for extraterrestrial warriors. What's more, the predators are using acid-dripping aliens for prey. But now, there's fresh sport for both species.
That gives away quite a bit.
It does, doesn't it?
Although I did make a note, actually, on something in relation to the kind of in that space that we can come back to if you want.
Cool. Right. Well, I would like to break this down in a little bit. There is a massive rambling rant that I'm going to do at the end, which covers not only this film, but the whole build up towards it.
Strap in, folks.
Strap in. It's going to be boring as hell, and go through the potential, etc. However, I have got a couple of questions, and I want you to look away from your notes for a second.
All right. Yeah, I can do that.
Take a deep breath.
I flipped them over.
Can you remember, other than Wayland, because he's got the company called Wayland, can you remember any of the characters' names?
No.
Thank you very much.
I didn't need to flip my notes over because I don't think I actually wrote any character names.
Okay.
In fact, I've given them all sort of my own code names.
Right. That is a big problem with this movie. Is like I actually rewatched it a couple of times. It's not as bad as I remember it as being. However, there is just so much potential that is not met within this film, and one of them being the character development is appalling. Like, yeah, you have a couple of little build-up segments. So you've got a few of the guys, like you get it in most movies, where before they group together, they have like think Avengers when you've got the different characters. You see Iron Man turn up, you see Cap and his punching bag, etc. But it's too quick. Bang, bang, bang. A girl climbing up a mountain. A man looking in a hole, finding a bottle cap. Done. Boat.
Well, it's interesting that you should say that, because that whole thing around. So I'll read you the note I wrote.
Okay.
Because I put all this time, mystery, build up, introducing characters, but the film is called Aliens versus Predator. I'm not sure I give a fuck. So I wrote that. I made a note here. I was 24 minutes in, and all that stuff you described, like, right, here's an archaeologist, and he's found a bottle cap, and here's a ice mounting expert lady, and here's they introduced another one. Who was the other? Oh, in the helicopter, Spud. I've referred to him as his train spotting character.
Yeah,
my notes.
I've got a little note here that says, "Who did I actually write it down? No one wants to see Spud off a train spotting getting his ass kicked."
No, most certainly not. But all of that stuff, I was just a bit like, it's all really cliched, isn't it? Like, really cliched as fuck for that first 15, 20 minutes. Like, Spud is in the helicopter and he says to, and this is a running theme note that I came back to this all the way through because I kind of became oddly obsessed with it. He shows a photo of his boys at like the 12th minute of the movie, and he says, "I'm documenting the trip for my boys," and then he brings it up again on the boat. "Do I need to show you the photo of my boys?" And I was like, he's dead. Possibly the first to die. Yeah. That guy's going to die. It's the old World War II movie stereotype. Not stereotype. What's the word I'm looking for? Cliche, where the pilot talks about, "I can't wait to get back home to my girl," kind of thing.
Yeah, he should have tucked the photo of his boys just under the dashboard somewhere.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But all of that, I suppose I could be more forgiving if, like what you're saying, is if we got to know these characters better or felt a bit more of something about them, then maybe I'd have been more arsed. But it was just every cheesy trope just trotted out, wasn't it? And every line she's like, when I lead a team, I lead my team, and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh god, just come on. It's called Aliens versus Predator, so number one, all this mystery, I'm not going to be surprised. I know that.
I know what's coming.
Yeah, in fact, that's the bit I'm waiting for. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just like they're all just two-dimensional, pointless lumps of meat to be murdered.
Yeah, and they haven't even bothered to even develop them. The only one they half develop is Lance Henriksen, and that's because we all know him from Aliens as the android, and even he gets killed. Right.
Yeah, I made a note about that. I made a note about that because you're going to have to help me out here. I wrote here that I can't remember. I was like, that's relevant that it's him and he looks like Bishop. And I think that's come up in a later movie that I may or may not have seen. So can you help clear up that for me? Because I was a bit like, I know that's relevant. And then he died, and then I was like, oh, spoiler alert. And then he died, and I was like, but wait, hang on, isn't there a whole thing there?
Yeah, well, he's Wayland, and then the company that pretty much runs everything in Aliens is called the Wayland-Yutani Corporation. So it's obviously him. Yeah. So it's him. He's the initial owner of it in this time, and that's obviously then gone on and on and on, and they've used his likeness in the androids, which also means that one, the guy that turns up at the end of Alien 3, he must have been an android as well.
Right.
Unless I think that's decided to ignore that. Yeah,
so I've definitely seen Alien 3. That's possibly where my weird, like, I know I've seen him in another movie on top of the Bishop appearance, so it must be that one.
He's also, because he's played so many baddies, they kind of play off that again, a bit like Aliens, but worse, where you think, oh, is he going to be a baddie? But no, actually, he's just like some kind of eccentric billionaire looking to get some excitement done.
Well, no film is complete without an eccentric billionaire.
He's no Batman, though, is he, to be fair?
True that.
Cool. So that was my first question that I thought of, because they just don't develop them enough, so you don't really care when they die.
That's it. And what I'm saying is, like, they could have cut all that out, and if they weren't going to develop them, just don't develop them.
Yeah.
You know, just chuck them in the mix and go for it.
My second question was, have they made the aliens too powerful?
Oh, that's interesting. So again, to refer to my notes, we're jumping ahead. If you don't mind, I'll jump ahead a bit to something I noted down. Because I did put here, I wrote xenomorphs. Is that what they're actually called? Have I remembered that right?
It's a posh word for alien.
Okay. I put, did the xenomorphs mature a bit quickly? Like they burst out the belly and then they were massive, and then they felt a bit more thinky than I thought they were before. And then I made a note saying I don't remember them using their tails like that in other films.
I think they have. I think the alien in the first one, and I've not seen Alien for ages, he was more sneaky, didn't he? He didn't just go bowling straight in and kill the crew of the Nostromo Sigourney Weavers, because they were just like truckers in space. And
Yeah.
snuck around the kind of ducts, etc.
But that's kind of like primal hunter stuff, isn't it? It wasn't,
Yeah.
You'd equate it to, I don't know, like a tiger or a shark or something.
They definitely
like apex predator.
They sped it up, the development, because in the first one it takes ages.
Yeah. I thought that.
He sits down and has dinner with them, and then suddenly he's all going a bit funny, and then he feels ill, and then they put him on a table, and then eventually it comes out and it's tiny, and then it takes time to grow. So it's like they've done that bit you said about, it's Alien versus Predator, let's just get on with it. And then they've just gone, oh, let's just speed it up. And then turn it. Like, she literally just comes to the first one. Like, she just comes to, and everyone else has still got them on her face. And then the next thing you know, it's coming out of her chest. It's like, well,
yeah, it's like they sped up the wrong bit.
Yeah.
Like the actual suspense, the bit that would make me feel a sense of anticipation and the scares.
Yeah, we know what's coming. And then it just happens straight away so you can get on with the alien fighting predators. But I thought that how I would have done it would have made it a bit of a pop rock, paper, scissors. I'm not sure how you do that. So obviously, the first Predator just gets like completely mangled straight away.
Mm.
And I'd have thought that they'd have had the Predator's hard as fuck. Like, I could imagine him being able to take on 2 or 3, like in hand to hand, and be able to like batter them. So I was thinking they could have done some kind of rock, paper, scissors, where like the humans have got advantage over the aliens because of some cool guns. The aliens have got advantage over the predators, not because they're stronger, but because of their numbers. And then the predators got the advantage over the humans because they're like technologically advanced and stronger or whatever, and tried to have some kind of play on that. But they just made, for me, the action is too one-sided. There's no real fight. Like a good fight scene has them both pounding each other for ages before one gets the advantage. The humans don't, seeing that we are human, and as a rule would want the humans to be the winners, the humans just lambs to the slaughter throughout all of it. They don't put up any good fight whatsoever. Yeah, so the fight scenes were very one-sided. So the humans just lambs to the slaughter. So there's no point in that guy looking hard, clicking his gun down, lock and load, to then get cut to bits by a net. The aliens seem to kick the predators' asses, which is weird, because even without their shoulder guns, which I know that they were running for, they still have quite a few cool bits and pieces to keep them top dogs in the fight.
Yeah, although they seem to indicate that this whole "come and get your guns" thing is like a trial, like a rite of passage, didn't they?
I did. The humans take what it is that what triggers it, wasn't it? The thing opens, that's their guns. They pick the guns up, and then it kicks in. So I think the idea is the predators go down there, pick the guns up, put them on, and then it kicks in from there. Whereas the humans kind of picked them up, triggered it before they. That's when they see it. And
yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, I kind of interpreted it, although I think incorrectly now. You've said that. Like these were like the predators were younguns, like it was a test, and the prize was the getting a gun of your own, like this, I don't know, an ancient weapon that's passed down or whatever. But I think I've read too much into that.
Yeah, I think you're right in the long. I think that they are like some kind of supposed to be young predators, like because he does a little battle mark as if he's never killed an alien before.
Yes, yeah.
Which then brings on to the fact that you've got shit humans, shit predators, and a few aliens.
Yeah, I agree.
And you want some kind of, I don't know. I mean, like you want to see the best of the best fighting each other. That's why the Expendables to me is amazing, because you've got Sly Stallone, Arnie, you got Jason Statham, you got all these big badass super gun-toting maniacs shooting each other. But anyway, side tangent. So those were my two questions about the aliens being too powerful and the characters that I'd like. Even now, I've watched it twice, so I can't tell you what any of their names are,
No.
which is sad, because she's actually quite good. The lead actor is actually quite good. A little bit trying to be Sigourney Weaver, but didn't mind her. But the rest is, I mean, you've got the guy with the scar on his face that comes up in most sci-fi, the Irish guy who's like sci-fi.
Yeah.
Fantasy. He's in quite a few different bits there. You got the British guy who's in James Bond.
Yeah, he's like M's like do it guy.
Yeah.
Not quite a secretary, but like a
assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what points have you got? What did you quite a bit, I believe.
So yeah, I stuck with this whole Spud thing. Well, the minute he opened his mouth, as I said before, I was like, this guy's going to die. And so I kind of became a little bit obsessed with following his story through the film. And I made him my central character instead of the white lady. So I made a note here about him breaking the first rule. He went wandering off on his own.
Twat.
But it's okay. It's just a penguin. I've never seen a moment of tension in a film done that way before. You know, where someone goes wandering off on their own and we're expecting something, it turns out to be something innocuous. That's pretty fresh. That's some fresh filmmaking there.
Yeah, out the box thinking.
Yeah, they did really good with that one. And then I just kind of followed his story along, and then he died. Yeah, which I was really sad about. But he didn't die. No. Then I made a later note saying, Spud gets to die again. which was fun for me. And I like that he was the one, not the action dude. He was just a bit of a like piss his pants coward in the end, the Irish guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And that actually Spud was the one who was all for like grabbing the pistol, shooting the face huggers, trying to save the Irish guy, getting in the mix. But those poor two boys, you know, fatherless, his widow. So yeah, I decided he was the main character instead, and followed that really inventive, story writing that was done around his character throughout. One random note: when the predators land and the pods open, there's a load of text on the inside of the door, and I just had this weird little thought. I just wondered if that's just basic, like standard health and safety text.
Mind your head on exit.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it's sold to us like, "Ooh, what's that mysterious alien, predator language?" I was like, "Yeah, that's just watch the gap when you step out," kind of thing. Just weird little things. Then I wrote, "Don't lean your faces in," and then a couple of lines below, I then wrote, "Never mind, they jump." So that was the bit where the eggs came into the sacrificial chamber. And the spiky blonde hair, edgy bird with the pistol.
Yeah.
And nerdy boy, who sort of, was there a bit of sexual tension there or not? I don't know whether that's something they were trying to make us think.
No, it wasn't long enough to really think about anything.
Yeah, I was like, are they trying to sort of, we get a bit of nudge, wink. Oh, no, they did. But yeah, it was just like they're all leaning their faces, and I'm like, "What? Don't lean your face. Look, you can see with your torch. There's something wriggling around in there. Come on, get a grip." You know what I mean? But it didn't matter because they jumped. Although I did kind of like that when they leapt out and it went into that sort of Matrix style slow mo of the face huggers attacking them.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool. Don't forget about his children. Spud must have mentioned his kids again. At some point. And then the Predators. So just to revisit them, like you're saying, they should be hard as nails and all that. And we've obviously just a couple of episodes back, folks, if you've not listened to it, we did the very first Predator as a rewatch a couple of episodes back. And I felt like in this, the Predators were just a little bit too like big man in rubber suit. That didn't cross my mind at all when we watched the first one.
Did it not? Even when he took his mask off and it's like the rubber fingers.
No. Like I mean, yes, probably, but I was able to suspend my disbelief. Whereas there's something about when they were running and things, I just felt like clodhopping in this big suit, and it just looked really. I think it's the way John McTiernan filmed it. Like he made it, other than a few moments like you've just mentioned. I think because you don't really see the Predator a great deal in the first film, do you?
No, not only really in the end. Other than that, he's see through, or you're looking through his
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, it's the imagination that does the work for us there, and this just felt a bit like, well, that's obviously just three dudes in big rubber suits. It really,
Yeah.
really took me out of the film.
To its credit, and I think the aliens, I'm pretty sure the aliens are CGI, but they do look good.
Yeah, they do. They do look good. There was a bit in the skittery little tunnels where one of them sort of peels away from the wall out the shadows, doesn't it? And sort of they go, "Oh shit, it's like right next to me" and stuff. I thought that was all good, but it wasn't. I suppose ultimately one of the things I wrote here is like the whole tone of it is action film. The whole tone. So whereas, and again, we talked about this a little bit when we discussed Predator, and you mentioned you kind of brought a little bit of aliens into the conversation. That the first Predator film is an action movie, but it well uses some of the sci-fi horror elements to add to it.
Yeah,
and the first Alien movie clearly is a sci-fi horror, just straight up. The Aliens is a sci-fi action. Whereas this one was like a sci-fi action, but trying to be a bit horror-y and epically failing.
I'd say that other than the final boss battle, which I kind of like, it's an action movie, but the action is crap. Like you want to have like a bit of to and fro, and it's all over a little bit quick. You know, it's like I don't know. It's just like an absolute trouncing.
It just felt to me like it was trying to have its feet in both camps, and whereas Aliens pulls it off, I think, in having its feet in two camps, like the to compare, like the scene where Newt's in the lab and the facehuggers skittering around in there with her. That draws down really well on sort of sci-fi horror sort of feel.
Yeah,
and I do genuinely like. Even though I know what's going on, I know how it shakes down. You have that moment of, gripping your chair. Oh, this poor girl is going to get. Yeah. Whereas this one, AVP, I would have preferred it if they just went one way or another, like skittery little alien tunnels, aliens peeling out the shadows and the walls, scaring the shit out of humans, predators trying to hunt. A little bit of predator prey. Who is the predator? Who is the prey? Kind of stuff, or go all in action, and it tried to have a bit of both, and because it did both of them pretty shit, made it even shitter.
Yeah. I've put misses the mark of a horror movie and an action movie, so I've pretty much said exactly the same thing. Be one or the other, and not try and appease both, but then just shit.
Like exactly. If it had been all about this temple is constantly moving and there's all these like dark tunnels and skittery little channels and I don't know, and gone right. Let's just go all in on that. Yeah. Or like you say, go all in on like boss battle after boss battle, predators bashing aliens, aliens bashing predators.
I mean, like Temple of Doom, like Indiana Jones does, going through a temple type kind of corridors and walls coming down to a T, and that's not even involving like two psychotic alien species.
Yeah, absolutely. We're on the same page on that. You're buying what I'm selling there, I can tell. And then just to revisit your talk about the aliens being too hard, I made a note here. I named one of them Scar, which is the guy with the net.
Yeah,
and I just felt like Scar was just too clever, like too self-aware.
Yeah.
Like there's a moment where he holds back from joining the fight, like a couple of his little alien brothers and sisters are getting into it with the Predator, and he just sits back and watches, and he's sort of eyeing up it. I don't know, just something felt wrong about Scar.
Yeah, because they're not. I mean, the whole point is that they are controlled by the Queen.
Yeah.
And they're completely mindless drones out for killing and capturing.
Just Hungry Hunters, yeah. And there was just something about him that didn't sit right with me. And then the Queen's like, help me. And he turns up and he has this idea of killing a couple of his brothers and sisters to get the acid blood on the. I was like, I don't know, that's a bit canny, innit? That seemed a bit canny for a mindless killing machine, you know? So that bothered me. And then my last note, other than just revisiting Spud a lot,
He's hardly in it.
Is this based on a comic book?
Not that I know of.
So I have a very vague recollection from somewhere in the 90s of reading a Dark Horse Predator comic book, a series, maybe a 6-parter or something, where the female human character ends up getting initiated as a predator to the point where she even gets on the ship and goes with them, leaves Earth and goes with them. And I think then reappears in a later storyline as a fully fledged, like, you know, predator warrior bitch.
That's funny, isn't it? I have read that novel. Again, we're looking about 90s, so when I'm a teenager. And yes, so it's a human female that gets initiated into the predators. I think it's got aliens. I think I'd have to search my old bookshelf at my mum and dad's house to see if it's still there. But yeah, I've read the novel version of that comic book where she gets initiated into the predators as a hunter, and she's a badass.
Yeah, and I wondered if it was inspired by or something, or, you know.
It could be. It could be. It's not something I know about. If it is, and you guys out there are screaming at us, yes, it is. It's a really well-known comic book. Why are you slating it? Then, you know, let us know, because we'd like to look into it further.
Yeah, I meant to do a bit of Googling before we recorded today, and then it slipped my mind until I just literally read. I'd put a little scribble on here saying I remember a comic book.
Yeah, because I've just started, obviously, from the intro, I've just started looking back into all the different comic books and novels and stuff back from the 90s and making my way through it. I'm doing the Aliens one at the moment, but I know there's quite a few Alien versus Predator novels, of which the one we discussed with the Doris that goes off into Predator Land is one of them. So any recommendations again, let us know.
Yep. And that concludes my notes as we went along,
cool.
as I watched along.
Awesome. Right. Well, I've got a little, I've done a little
have your soapbox moment
of research and rant in regards to this movie. And the reason I watched it a couple of times. It's not a bad little horror actiony flick, really. You know, it's got loads of little down points. It's got some cool special effects. You know, people die. There's big battle scenes. The disappointment is the potential for this film and the waste of it. So if I go through the timeline of the movies, so Alien was in 1979. That was a one-off. It was a horror. Then Aliens was until 1986. So that's a few years. You're looking at 7 years there before that came out, and that was James Cameron bringing the whole atmosphere, that whole world further, developing on the company, the corporate kind of idea of the corporate running Earth and the colonial Marines. So that we're out in space. There's truckers in space. It's been policed by these Marines. Really developed that, and it works. It's an absolute classic. 87 was Predator. 1990 was Predator 2, and the whole, from what I can gather, and again, if people out there say I'm wrong, then let me know. The whole reason that AVP, or Aliens versus Predator, became a thing is that some bright spark in the end of Predator 2, when he's in the Predator spaceship.
It's a skull or something, isn't it?
The skull of an alien in his trophy cabinet. And that's what sparked all these oh wow, they know each other. That would be amazing. Alien 3 was in 1992, and then around that kind of mid 90s, that was when I was kind of 15, 16. I was starting to, we'd got really into it. It was really popular. It was in those Starburst magazines, those got big sci-fi.
Yeah. Oh wow!
At that time, that would have been the time to do it. Now, I don't know if there was some kind of conflict between two different film companies that meant that it was delayed. I mean, because it was massive. In 1995, have you ever heard of Alien War?
No.
It was at the Trocadero Centre in London. I went down there, and it was a whole live action event based on aliens.
No, in which case then I don't know it.
It was amazing. I can go through it in more detail maybe later, but you basically go in to that world. So you get led into this whole kind of sci-fi environment by a colonial marine. You're going to go and inspect where they hold the aliens escape. You absolutely shit yourself. And that's when they needed to do it. Not only, and then they didn't release it, and you had Alien 4, which is an absolute pile of shit. That was in 97. And then AVP wasn't until 2004. So 12 years after Alien 3, 14 years after Predator 2, when that first seeded idea came out, they actually did it. And it was, at the time, in 2004, it was massively banded as something that people have been waiting for ages. My disappointment with it is that they based it in modern time. I don't know why. When you've got this whole world that James Cameron's created and Ridley Scott to some degree before that, you've got this future, this opportunity to kind of explore this corporate-run spacefaring future where we've got, space truckers, you've got colonial marines that are kind of needed to apparently regulate space. You've got terraforming planets. There's so much that could have been developed from that. And I feel it's a bit of a cop-out just to put it in real life or modern time, kind of present times. And all the characters are a bit naff.
Yeah.
So I'd want to see a group of colonial marines. And this is where all the comic books or the novels or the computer games gear down towards. You want these badass colonial marines with space age weapons up against not a handful of aliens, but you want a flipping sea of the bastards, and them not being particularly clever or strong, but just being almost like a swarm of alien blooded, acid blooded evil things. And then you want a handful of just fucking really hard predators that are real elite bastards that can take out swathes of things, but then obviously they can't. At some point, you're going to get overwhelmed, and have those kind of three camps just with their pros and cons, just battling out against each other. And I think, well, for me, I don't know if this was the consensus of what other people thought, but that's what I wanted from this movie, and I wanted it to be a flipping epic of three rock. You want three rock hard entities. And who's going to come out on top? And obviously, in the end, the humans do, because we're human and we want to see the humans do well. And that's the whole point of watching one of these action films, is to see the goodies come out at the end. Rant over.
Well, I don't feel the disappointment quite as deeply as you do, but it's apparent that it did not live up to expectations.
You're lucky I didn't get you to watch AVP Requiem, which is like Aliens versus Predator versus Dawson Creek.
Versus Dawson's Creek.
True fucking story as well.
Yeah, okay. I'll count my blessings then, I suppose.
And there we go. So, a bit of a ranty one, but I hope it wasn't too bad. Us being negative, but I don't like to be negative. I mean, there are some positives there, but overall it's shit. I still hope you enjoyed listening to it. Let's go on an upswing for next week.
Okay.
Next episode.
What do you got for me?
I've got something that I know you like. I've got something that I know I like. And if I was to go, dun, 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 dun.
Oh, Bad Boys.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, that doesn't necessarily narrow it down. I think Michael Bay's used that in about 6 movies.
Yeah. You got a cup of brown sugar? Bad Boys, 1995, the original.
I wanna be like Mike.
It's also on Netflix, so it's free. So we haven't got to think about paying out for anything after Christmas. Everyone out there with a Netflix account, and if you haven't got one, Nick and Mate's logins, you can all join us. Let's watch Bad Boys over the next 2 weeks. Let's gorge on the bayest of bays, the funniness of Martin Lawrence and Will Smith.
Yes, absolutely. We talked very briefly about it when we looked at The Rock, didn't we? So
yeah,
that ties together well. Okay, consider it done. I'll get Bad Boys watched in the next 2 weeks.
Woo!
Right, well, there we are then. We're on to Chris's comic book corner now, and the little reading project for my man Andy over there, who is a comic book novice by his own admission, was the Robin Reborn collection, which tells the story. Well, I have prepared the synopsis.
Oh, very good.
Two episodes in a row now, up in my game. This is from the DC Comics downloadable service thing. It says, after discovering Batman's identity, Tim Drake must now endure months of intensive physical training before he can publicly debut as the Caped Crusader's new partner. Given an all-new high-tech costume and the encouragement of a former Robin, Dick Grayson, Tim is finally ready to don the identity he was born for, Robin.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, 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 which I don't particularly feel is all that accurate, really.
No, it's not really, but it's
No.
a lot more to it than that.
Absolutely, yeah. But fundamentally, collects the sort of three key events in Tim Drake becoming the third Robin, the third, as it says, the partner sidekick to the Cape Crusader, which is Tim Drake. I think I've got very fond memories of Tim Drake because he was the Robin of that time in the early 90s when I was reading a lot of Batman. So I didn't know Dick Grayson or Jason Todd all that well until I started diving back, into the into the library of Batman comics. That was at the time when I started reading DC comics, and so Tim Drake's it's like James Bond's. He's my Robin, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I get it. That just seems weird to me because up until the first season of Teen Titans, I didn't know there was more than one Robin, and I was a bit shell shocked when I started reading this, and I realised that there was three.
Well, there's four, in fact. Now there's a fourth one. Yeah, Damian Wayne, and there's quite a complicated story that surrounds him. Well, it's not so complicated. He's Bruce Wayne's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there you go. So there's actually a fourth Robin in the mix. Well, and there was an interim one, which was a girl called Stephanie Brown.
It gets weirder and weirder. For me, Robin is Dick Grayson from the '60s TV show, and then from the Batman with
four Robins Batman.
George Clooney. What was his name? Chris
O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell, yeah. And it was always Dick Grayson. So it wasn't until Teen Titans when Jason Todd turned up, and I was like, what, where, when, who, how? And then I started reading this, and this Tim Drake guy's turned up.
Yeah, that's right. So, but further to that, I mean, Tim Drake's my Robin, and so it has a fond place in my heart. But I think this collection, or particularly a section of this collection, is actually good comic books. In my humble opinion. We'll see if you can guess which section, but seeing as how this is a kind of reading challenge for you to become more familiar with stuff like the fact that there's more Robins and so on and so forth, let's get a few thoughts from you, my good man.
Well, I liked it after the shock of there being more than one Robin or more than two Robins. I actually quite liked him. He seems quite sound. They've made him less. They've kind of penned him as less actiony, but still able to beat the crap out of someone who's supposed to be the best fighter in the world. So that's quite cool. Yeah, I thought it was all right.
Yeah, I don't get from his tone of voice. I'm not getting a sense of compared to the way you've spoken about some of the other stuff I put in front of you.
I can't think of anything negative about it. It was fun to read. It was easy to read. You didn't have to think about much with the as stupid as this sounds, with the words and the pictures. It was quite easy to flow and get what was going on and read it. You didn't have to kind of reread it or go, what is going on there? He's new, bless his parents and those horrible men that take them away and do voodoo on them. Then he gets over that, and then he goes on some training, and then he sees some wrongs that he needs to right, and then he ends up going around the world, and he comes out on top in the end. Yeah.
Good. So I'll tell you something I'm noticing, and this is an example of that, is that when I put books in front of you that are part of, I don't know how to phrase this, like a larger thing.
Yeah.
Like it's
episode 143 to episode 187, or issue.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't seem to click with you as much as when I give you like maybe a more creator-owned, self-contained story. That's definitely something I'm noticing here.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, as I said, I can't say anything bad about it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't think it engaged me in as much as Preacher and the what's it called? It begins with a P. The one from last week.
Planetary.
I keep thinking Preacher and Planetary. Something without a P starting next, please.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's because they're a bit newer as well.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this was like 1992, maybe 93 that this stuff first came out in its monthly issue run. I think the trade paperback was later, but
And I do like the more modern ones and the more colours they've got and the different style of art, and it looks nicer. But as I said, I can't.
and therefore that makes it easier for you to consume, to read.
Yeah, and enjoy it, and
Sure.
like Preacher in particular, there's some beautiful artwork. I mean, it could be a bit gory and dark, but it's very well. It's a lot of time spent on it. Some of the like the Marvel and the DC ones we've read, you can kind of tell they're pounding out issue after issue.
Yeah, there's definitely, like you say, about the colours. So you'll notice in this collection, when it's not the actual Robin miniseries, the 6-part miniseries that tells the story of him going and getting his training and, as you say, traveling the world and all that. It's got 2 shorter collections of like little 3-issue runs that sit in the middle of a bigger. So the Batman has got 4 running titles: Batman Detective Comics, Shadow of the Bat, and Legend of the Dark Knight, I think. Or maybe they're not all running at the moment, but at that point, that's what would have been being published. And each of them, Detective Comics has been going since day dot. It's literally in the like thousands now in terms of issue numbers, although they've done a number of reboots and that. And I definitely feel like the miniseries is better put together, looks better, feels better, a more self-contained kind of 3-act story with a beginning and a middle and an end, whereas the bits in the middle, like some of the backgrounds, there's a really great shot of Batman, but then the back of the panel's pink for no reason.
Yeah.
So I feel like the artwork improves in the miniseries section compared to the, like you say, and I think your observation is right, that the reason the art is a bit less striking is that they are pounding it out. And a lot of the creator controlled comic book stuff, if the writer and artist, because they control it, if they want to take a hiatus or have a break and do it in volumes or something, then they just do that and catch up with themselves. So if they're falling behind on script writing or they're falling behind on artwork, they just go, right, well, that concludes volume 1. We'll be back in 3 months' time with volume 2. Put a date in your diary kind of thing, which they obviously don't do DC and Marvel, particularly with that. We've got to get an issue out on the shelf every month.
Yeah. Or I suppose if the artist is doing more than one, they could be doing potentially like 3 or 4 different ones a month, or I guess. I don't know.
Yes, yeah, absolutely they can, yeah. In fact, in the early days, there's, just to go on a small tangent, like Marvel, for example, in the early days, they even call it the Marvel method. The artist would draw it based on a very kind of loose script, and then the writer would go in and fill the gaps in with the actual dialogue.
Ah.
So they would just pound, like you say, just smash out artwork, and then they'd go and make up the story to fit the artwork after the fact.
And I want to make clear, I'm not saying that the artwork is bad, because it's not. It's very dynamic. It isn't bad at all. But some of the stuff that we've seen in other comic books is exceptionally good. And I suppose I don't have the historic nostalgia to that style of artwork and comic that really kind of draws me in. I mean, I can remember 2000 AD being really good art-wise. I don't know if I'm right or not. If I haven't looked at a 2000 AD in 30 years, I can remember that being very good, and some of the Dark Horse kind of alien stuff being very good. That I looked probably in the 90s. Although looking back at the compendium, there's a variety of different. The 3 different story arcs are done by 3 different artists, and the one in the middle looks like he's used a paintbrush for all of it. It's beautiful.
Well, again, though, they're done over, they'll say, right, 6-issue run. So they'll do the whole story in 6 issues, 1 a month for half a year kind of thing. It's not, you're not under the pressure to just keep going and going and going and going. So yeah, maybe there's something in that. Well, one thing I'm particularly pleased about, just to go back to the character, is that you've cottoned on to the. So one of the key things about Tim Drake is that he rolls into an element of the Batman mythology around being the greatest detective in the world. The Batman is the greatest detective in the world, and Tim Drake discovers Batman's secret identity using his computer skills and his detective skills, and that you're absolutely right. Whereas Dick Grayson was a gymnast, a traveling circus and part of a performing gymnast family, and Jason Todd was like a street ruffian who knew how to brawl kind of thing. Tim Drake was very much the character kind of entered into the world of Batman through. Yeah, absolutely. And through that kind of. So Batman, like as a multifaceted character, has these sort of different elements like street vigilante going around, busting arms and legs on thugs kind of thing. You've then got the Batman that is the world's greatest detective. You've then got the Batman who's the martial artist who kind of is involved in that kind of area of the DC universe. And then you've got the Batman who's like the hyper intellectual super brain who runs the whole Justice League and every hero around the world kind of thing. And I like those smaller stories that are about, there's been a crime and he's going to use detective skills to solve the crime. And there'll be a bit of action at the point at which he tries to catch the criminal, but actually is that battle of wits, which is why villains like the Joker and the Riddler are much more compelling sometimes than some of the more kind of brute forcey type things like Killer Croc or Clayface.
Quite a lot of the Batman villains are very cartoony, aren't they?
Well, they're not though particularly. Well, maybe they are, but there's one thing Batman always struggles to shake off is the legacy of the Adam West period. That's where things were camped up and made more cartoony. Like the Joker is on the surface looks very cartoony, and the portrayal of it in the Batman 66 is leaning more into that clown image.
Yeah.
But actually, the character throughout the history of the books is much more like the kind of Heath Ledger style maniac that we see in the Dark Knight. So that's a fair comment, and that's one of the things I appreciate about this storyline is that like it's got the detective-y elements and the kind of martial artsy element. Like you don't just become superhuman overnight; that you have to actually travel the world for a year. Meeting up and go through the trials and tribulations of getting trained by ninja masters and stuff, and go through the pain and the suffering of the learning. And that's one of the things I particularly like about this book. And Lady Shiva, who is a very prominent character in the miniseries section of the storyline, is like one of my all-time favorite characters in the DC universe.
Is she a goodie or a baddie?
Well, it's never pinned down. She just rolls with. I mean, other interpretations of her have definitely sold her as a villain. So when she's appeared in some of the DC animated stuff, she's definitely been more villainous. But in the comic books, she sits much more firmly in the shades of grey. It's just whatever kind of suits her agenda at any given time, and her whole thing, which is talked about in this storyline, but has definitely come up in other times she's featured. Her whole thing is just about being the greatest warrior. She just wants to be known as the best.
Yeah, I'd say I quite liked her as a character. Just not know if she's a goodie or a baddie, but still tagging along, and but then she spends time to like train him up a bit. Yeah.
She's worked with the Birds of Prey, for example, and been a prominent character in a few of their storylines, and she has a relationship with the Black Canary because they both trained under like a kung fu master in their history and stuff, and she treats Black Canary like a friend and says one day we will have to fight because I'll need to take you down. But she treats her like a friend, and when she works with the Birds of Prey, I don't know if you're familiar with the Birds of Prey. Actually, I should have.
Only that I think it's the film I've not seen yet, which has got Harley Quinn in, and
oh yeah, that's not particularly lined up with the Birds of Prey as they're known in the comic world. So it's Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, but in the Oracle version of the character,
right?
and she has a team that they call themselves the Birds of Prey, which has got the Black Canary, Huntress, a pilot called Black Hawk, Lady Black Hawk, and then other kind of female, like Catwoman was with them for a little while, and Tarantula and Katana and stuff. So it's like like ass kicking Spice Girls of DC.
Okay, cool.
But with much more substance than that. And Lady Shiva's worked with them in a positive, for good kind of way. So yeah, she is a very ambiguous character like that. But because she's definitely cold-bloodedly murdered as well.
People,
yeah, we've definitely seen evidence of that. So I like that the world of the martial arts, and Bruce Wayne went through this journey to become a great fighter to match, his intellect, and Tim Drake's having to go through that same journey too.
Cool.
Not much more else to say there, I don't think. But you seem much less enamoured with that one than you have been with some in the past. So let's see if we can find something that gets your juices flowing for the next episode, shall we?
Get me juicy.
Let me get my list out. Now, I think, so we're going to swing back round to the Wildstorm universe, which is where the Planetary came from.
Ooh.
And we're going to take a look at probably the first 2 volumes of a title called The Authority.
No, I have heard of that before. I think that might be one of your personal favourites. Am I right?
Yeah, I do. I enjoy it very much. But let's not frame me thinking too much. In fact, it's only 4 volumes long, so let's see how you get on, and you might
do all 4
in this particular. Yeah, let's see how you get on. But I'll get you the first 2 volumes together and see what you think of that.
Lovely jubbly.
All right then. So Mark Millar's The Authority. Okay then, folks, here we go. It's the rando segment.
It's the war
still segueing in with the war drums, even though, well, I don't know how maybe this quiz is going to be so brutal that segue will feel appropriate.
I don't think you'll find it too brutal.
Okay, no worries. Well, I'm going to hand over to the quiz master over there. In the world of Ministry of Dice, we call this a quiz branch, developed by Mr. England over there. So, Andy, quiz me away. Do I need anything?
If you've got a pen and paper to hand, it might be quite good.
I do.
Good. Yeah. Because what I'd like to do for this quiz is to make sure that everyone can get involved, like we try and do with the movie reviews and the comic book reviews, is I'm going to do it a little bit more like a pub quiz. So we'll go through the questions, you write down the answers, and then we'll go back. And that means that anyone at home who wants to have a go, they can also do it. And, potentially you could pause it before the answers come out. So, if you wanted to,
sure.
Grab a pen and paper and go back over. So the theme of this quiz is it a sci-fi / fantasy baddie / species?
Right.
Or a piece of IKEA furniture?
Okay. Brilliant. All right then, fair enough. So I've just got to put character or bookcase. Exactly. Am I to try and guess, or to what extent am I to answer?
Baddie or IKEA. And
right. That's it.
Anything else you wanted to expand on to, you can.
So you don't want me to, for example, if it was a piece of IKEA furniture, I don't need to go to the extent of trying to guess what type of furniture it is.
No, just baddie or IKEA, and then for the baddie, if you can let me know, where it's from, then even better.
Roger that.
There are 20 questions. I'm going to go through all of them, and then after we've gone through them, we'll go to the start, and then we'll say what they are. Okay?
You got it. All set.
Right. Without any further ado, then, ladies and gentlemen at home,
wait a minute. I need to. I'm left-handed. I'm going to have to move my mic over to the other side.
Okay. Whilst Chris moves his mic, get a pen and paper. If you do want to pause and play along, then feel free to do so. We'll wait here. And it's time. All right. So, are you ready, mate?
I'm all set.
Cool. So the first couple are a bit easy. So question number 1, or name number 1, I should say. Khan.
Okie doke. No worries. Yeah, all over that one.
Number 2. Kallax.
Yeah, no probs.
3, Greedo.
Come on.
A good quizmaster leads you in with some easy ones.
Yes, that's it, yeah. Am I being lulled into a false sense of security here?
Number 4, Poang.
Maybe I am being lulled into a false sense of security. I'm not sure on that one. Okay, yeah.
Number 5, Cyclones.
I know this one.
Number 6, Millsbow.
Millsbow. I made a decision on that one very scientifically.
Number 7, Grishnak.
Oof. Ooh. That's an interesting one. Okay, yeah. I put an answer. I'm not confident in it though.
Number 8, Fracta.
Yeah, put an answer.
Number 9, Kvistbro.
Okay, yeah. Got an answer.
Number 10, Ava.
Oh, I wonder if that's a red herring. I have put an answer.
Number 11, Drona.
Drona. I'm going to say that one. 50-50 shot. It can't be that hard, can it?
Can't be. Number 12, Nagini.
Let's go with that. I don't know why something makes me feel like that.
Number 13, Lifan.
Let's do that one. I'm definitely in the territory of total guesswork now.
So number 14, Niska.
I know that one. I actually know that one.
Yay.
Or do I?
Here's another one you might know. Number 15.
15, yeah.
Malm.
Malm. No, I don't think I do know that one. Am I going to be kicking myself?
I don't know. Depends. You only know it if you know it.
Well, that's true. True story. Yeah, I've made a punt anyway.
Number 16 is Gothmog.
That feels like that one. Okay.
Number 17 is Nox Halt.
Huh. Okay, yeah.
Number 18 is Formix.
Formix. I'm going to go for that one. That feels like that to me.
Number 19 is Galbatorix.
Woof. Yeah, I don't know.
And then number 20 is Fargrick.
Hang on. I'm still guessing on 19.
Okay.
Say 20. Say 20 again.
Fargrick.
Fargrick. Let's say that one. Okay.
Awesome. Now, do you want me to go through any again or spell any of them for you?
No, thank you. There's definitely just a lot of 50-50 shot guesswork in there.
Okay, cool.
I just decided at a certain point you just got to go with your gut, haven't you?
Yes, you do. Right.
However, out of the 20, I've only written, like in my little, when I've done a baddie column, I've only written 5, which doesn't bode well.
That does not bode too well. Right, so we're going to start off then with number 1. It's Khan. Baddie, IKEA. What is he?
Baddie.
He is a baddie. Where's he from?
Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan.
Yes, good start. Well done.
Yay.
The second one, Kallax. If any board gamer should know this.
I was about to say, that is firmly IKEA furniture.
That's right. It is a shelving unit of
I have
next to.
I have 2 of my own upstairs.
The third one, I am very sure you'll get as well. Greedo.
Yeah, he's a baddie from New Hope.
He is from Star Wars. So, Poang.
I went with baddie, but I wasn't sure.
It's a rocking chair from IKEA.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, cool. So then number 5, Cyclones.
Baddies.
From?
Battlestar Galactica.
Good work. Well done. Millsbone.
I went with IKEA on this one, but I don't know.
You're right. It's a glass-doored cabinet.
Oh, there you go. I just felt like I'd written baddie 3 times in a row, so I thought I'd better try.
Right. Grishnak.
I went with baddie.
He is a baddie. He is one of the orcs from Lord of the Rings. He's the orc that tries to eat them. Eat Merry and
Pippin.
Merry and Pippin. That's it. Know that storyline well. Big fan. And he's the one that tries to eat them when they're captured. Right, so straight on with Fracta.
I went with IKEA for this one.
You are right. It is their large carrier bag. Those beautiful blue things that you put your laundry in.
Not sponsored, by the way, folks. However, if anyone from IKEA is listening, then we're open. We're open to sponsorship. Yeah,
the door is open for a chat. Right, Kvistbro then. Kvistbro.
That felt IKEA furniture to me.
And you weren't wrong. It's a storage table. Ava.
Ava, I've put a baddie.
It is a baddie from a film Ex Machina, which I've not
Ex Machina, yeah, with Oscar Isaacs.
I've not seen it. I just Googling baddie names. I found it and put it in.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I have to give it a look because it looked interesting. Right, Drona.
I went with IKEA, but I'm now doubting myself.
You're not wrong. Here's a quick quiz. They're baddie from the Shannara Chronicles, or the Sword of Shannara series is called Brona. So I thought I might have caught you, or I might have caught you guys out there if you'd have thought that it was that. But no, Drona is a storage box. Nagini.
I went with baddie.
It is the baddie. It's the snake from Harry Potter.
Yes.
Did you know that?
I sort of vaguely, best guess, felt like it was.
Okay, cool. Good answer. Lefan.
I went with IKEA.
It is a swivel chair. You're doing all right, yeah?
I'm smashing this on there. This is platinum A grade 50-50 guesswork.
Niska.
I might as well have flipped a coin. Niska, I definitely know. Baddie.
From?
Firefly.
Indeed it is. Good work. Malm, then. Malm.
I went with IKEA on this one. This is the one you said you thought I'd know, but I didn't.
It's in many a bedroom around the world, especially it's in mine. It's a bed frame, but also a type of the bedroom furniture, or a name of their type of bedroom furniture.
I didn't know that.
Did you know Gothmog, though?
No, I went with baddie.
He's the general of the orc armies in the Lord of the Rings, the one with the face. He stands there as the rock kind of falls, and he just stands there, and it just falls in front of him. That's Gothmog.
I didn't actually know that. It just felt. I just went with the,
Felt baddie-ish.
Mm.
What about Noxhult? How did that sound?
I went with IKEA on this one. That definitely feels IKEA-y to me.
And you're right, it's kitchen units. What about Formix?
I went with IKEA again with this.
Formix is it's baddies. It's the species that they are up against in Ender's Game.
Oh.
But it sounds.
I've only ever seen the film. I never watched the book. You never watched the book? Never read the book?
Yeah, I've not read the book either. I've seen the film, though, and they came up there. Right, then. So 2 left.
Yeah, indeed.
Galbatorix.
I went with baddie for this one.
You're right. He's the baddie from Aragorn, the film, and also the series of books.
Oh, I did not. That was total guesswork.
And then the last but not least, Fargrick.
I went with baddie on this.
It's a style of plate from IKEA.
Oh. All right. Well, do you know what, though? I got 17 of them right.
17 out of 20 is a very good score.
Considering only 6 of them I was confident about.
Yeah, no,
I've not
good.
done too bad there.
Good guessing. Yeah. Good guessing. I'll tell you what we could do with this. I will put just the questions as a post on the brand new MoDXtra Facebook page. And as a comment, you just put the number that you got from listening to the vodcast, and we'll see how you do. And if you want to find that Facebook page, then you need to go to... Chris will tell you where to go to on this one.
Okay. Facebook.com/MoDXtraCast. So that's MoDXtraCast.
And we'll put that up ready for you so that you can give us your scores, but don't give away any of the questions. If people ask, you need to say, check out the vodcast. Then you'll know what they're talking about after an hour and a half's worth of tripe about AVP.
For sure.
Cool. Any good? You like that? That's all right, wasn't
it? Yeah. Challenging, but I fluked my way through it. I think if we were to do a repeat of that, I couldn't necessarily... I mean, I may even answer differently with the same question set. But yeah, not bad at all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Quizmaster Andy.
Thank you very much.
All right, cool. Well, as always, folks, if you have any suggestions of anything you'd like us to put in our rando section at the end, debate battles to be had, top picks or best ofs, or I don't know, another quiz of some description, then, give us a shout. Let us know in the comments below, all things considered. Have you been keeping a track? There's been a few people who've mentioned some movies, actually, they'd like us to put on the list.
I have been keeping a jot down of the ones I've seen, but I'll check with you to make sure that I've not missed anyone.
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, all right then. Well, that's everything said and done. Let's move on to a little outro, shall we? Well, there we are then, folks. As all things must, this episode of MoDXtra has come to an end. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it.
And we did.
There it is. Thank you very much.
There it is.
So, just to reiterate what I said in that last segment there, any thoughts, comments, suggestions to put in the suggestion box, then please do put them in the comments on this video or get in touch with us directly. You can now do that, as Andy referred to before, at our new Facebook page, which is facebook.com/MoDXtraCast without the E, so it's XTRA, and then send us an instant message over there. More than happy to consider movies for the Retro Corner. Let me know your favourite comic books. I've had a few folks send me some trade paperbacks we should consider looking at and such like, and we'll put them on the list to get to in future episodes. My comic book list is quite extensive, as I'm sure Andy's movie list is, so I might start putting them in a hat or something as more listener kind of suggestions come in.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. If you're interested in live gameplay and want to see us for realsies, sometimes even our faces, then please do head on over to twitch.tv/MoDXtra, where we do our streaming stuff. So at the moment, it's largely, I've been doing the Hearthstone Battlegrounds grind, trying to get my score up, and we're planning on doing some more of the Fighting Fantasy stuff, so let us know. And we will get back to some Apexing. I might still do a bit of solo drop streaming every now and again just to keep the dream alive.
The dad bot dream.
That's right, the dad bot dream. Although actually I did all right. I don't know if you've watched any of the footage, but I actually did not too bad. I had a pretty good night.
Oh, nice. Now I'll catch up with that tomorrow.
Yeah. I did put a highlight game on the YouTube channel. Speaking of which,
yes,
we've. You're obviously on the YouTube channel right now, but the analytics tell me that a few people listening aren't subscribers. So if you're listening to this right now and you've got a moment and your mouse is near your hand, then please do hit the subscribe button. Our goal is 100. We're trying to get up to 100 subscribers because we really want the custom URL.
Yes, we do.
Really want the custom URL.
More than you know.
Makes life so much easier for us. And Andy says we're not real content creators till we've got that. So
no,
please make us feel like real content creators. I mean, we're making content, but
we're not really there yet.
No. And I'm also planning on doing some more comic book related stuff on the channel. So again, let us know in the comments or get in touch if there's anything in the kind of comic book space that you'd like me to make little videos out of and such like. So far, all I've done is my little show and tell around gimmicky comic book covers from the 90s, but I'd love to know what you would like to see. So let me know. Right, there's all our pluggy, shameless plugging done.
Oh, I always know what I was going to do. So, Bad Boys is on Netflix.
Right.
There is the facility to do a watch party on Netflix. We've got 2 weeks. I'll pop some details up on the Facebook page so we can set a time. And so you need to go to the Facebook page and you need to like it. And then we'll set a time. And then hopefully not just watching the films like on our own and talking about it, we can all sit and watch it together and have a natter.
Have a natter in the live chat. Yeah, so we use a service called Teleparty, and you'll need to install that. So if that's something of interest, then you need to make sure you've got that together. But it's pretty straightforward. At the point of kicking the film off, we'll just post a link and you can click it, join the Teleparty. You have to be a Netflix subscriber yourself, and we can have a bit of a live natter.
That sounds like fun.
While the movie's going on, yeah.
We'll see about doing that. I'll have to download some Teleparty things. Actually, I'll just get you to help me do that because I'm old.
Yes, no problem. It's not difficult at all.
Cool. That's good to know.
Even my daughter can do it.
Doesn't say anything.
Yeah, that's not actually filled me with any more confidence, Chris. I don't know why you would bring that up.
Your daughter can do iMovies.
Yeah. Very good. All right then, folks. Well, until if you're a Dice Masters fan, we'll see you next week for the Ministry of Dice. Otherwise, we'll catch you in 2 weeks. I've been Chris, otherwise known online as the True Mr. Six.
And I've been Andy, aka Mike Lowry.
Mike Lowry.
Lowry.
See you later, boys and girls.
Bye-bye.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I think that's just, as we've observed before, I am just generally louder by nature.
Indeed.
I think that's the explanation for that. Because I'm a bombastic gobshite. From Manchester.
They call him Mr. Bombastic.
Tell fantastic. Touch me on the box. They call me Mr. Romantic. Shaggy.
It wasn't me.
He had another song. What was his other song?
It wasn't me.
No, in addition to Mr. Bombastic and It Wasn't Me, there was a third kind of big tune he had, and I can't think what it is now.
Oh dear.
Did he do a cover of Oh Carolina? Is that
Oh Carolina, blah,
yeah.
Jump.
Was that Shaggy?
Oh, yeah, Carolina, blah blah blah. Yeah, oh,
he was a US Marine.
You move all of your body, oh baby, go to the party. Yeah, that was he.
Yeah, US Marine, I think.
Kid.
Or some sort of armed forces dude that was highly decorated and all that.